MLB DFS picks Wednesday, June 26th, evening slate. Who are the pitchers that we want to roster? Who are the pitchers that we want to target? We'll sort based on XFIP. We want to roster Chris Sale. He has been absolutely amazing this season, and he is facing a St. Louis team that doesn't strike out too much, 20% carry rate, but a 115 ISO, 269 WOBA, 75 WRC plus. They're missing some bats, and even when those bats were in the lineup from the right side, the Stars weren't really hitting. Next, Shota Imanaga, Cubs versus the Giants. Giants pretty good against left-handed pitching. 330 WOBA, 118 WRC plus. I don't know if I really want to target. He has been really good this season overall, and he started out a lot hotter than what he's running right now. 9.2 Ks per nine, 1.3 walks, but the issue is now look, 189 ERA. That's very exciting, but it's a tough matchup. We do like the ballpark, but we can't completely ignore that in his last start, he went 3 innings, allowed 10 earned runs. Yikes. And even before that blow-up spot, he had been struggling. Now, it was against the Mets, and the Mets are very good against left-handed pitching, but so are the Giants. The Giants are good against left-handed pitching as well. I can give up 10 earned runs again. Could happen. Since May 29th, he's allowing 2.5 home runs per nine. And even before that big blow-up, he was his ERA was around 4.43 over that span, not 1.89. All right, Eric Fetty. Hey, he's having a terrific season. Just only really 4 bad starts in the 16s, getting ground balls, 49%. That's awesome. The Ks are pretty close to the top at 8.6. It's been a very solid season for him. 309 ERA, 352 XFIP. But you're not rostering him against the Dodgers. Probably going to get traded sometime soon. The White Sox need to let a lot of guys go, and he's not one of their younger arms. So it'd be really interesting to see where he ends up and what role he'll have in the regular season. Luis Gill, 10.8 Ks per nine, but the walks, 4.4. That's the issue. It's all about his control issues. His last game, just 1 strikeout, 7 earned runs. When he starts walking batters, he gets into trouble. He could probably get away with it against the Mets, 150 ISO, 312 WOBA. Much better against lefties than they are righties, but they have been heating up lately. Look at that, 234 ISO over the last week. 387 WOBA, a 156 WRC plus. You probably don't want to fall behind in the count on these guys. He's having a good season, but control issues are always a problem. Man, look at that phenomenal BABIP. That thing's going to regress at some point, and that 2 or 3 ERA is going to jump up and normalize. But that's what you got with the guy. Now, one of his main pitches is the changeup. It's just one of his main put-away pitches. Mets are 5th against the changeup. And if you look at that blow-up spot where he gave up 7 runs, it was against Baltimore. Baltimore's second best against the changeup. So if they can neutralize or take that pitch out of his hand, yeah, it could be a long day for Luis Gill. I don't think I need to go there. Cutter Crawford having a pretty strong season. 9.2 Ks per nine, so there's upside there. Not walking too many batters. The problem with Cutter, although it's not showing up in his stats just yet, 3.54 ERA, 3.93 XFIP, is that he's running into some home run issues. And things are kind of going in the wrong direction despite a really strong early start to the season. He's given up 11 home runs in his last 7 games. And going back to the end of May, or end of April actually, his ERA is around 5. So started out the season pretty hot. Still has pretty good numbers in the year, but not trending in the right direction. Now, if we want to be positive, though, in his last outing, he did strike out 7 batters in Toronto in a back-to-back against Toronto. Wasn't as good, sharp in his first matchup, but didn't bounce back. Was pretty solid in the second one. Gavin Stone. We like this play a lot. We like to pick on the White Sox, 24 K rate, 124 ISO, well below WOBA, well below league average WRC plus, even worse of late. And the ballpark, we don't really love having pitchers in the ballpark, but Gavin Stone has been really strong this season. Fastball changeup guy. And Chicago ranks dead last against fastballs, which is typically when we have a bad offense, they probably don't hit fastballs. Yeah, so when you have the worst offense, they're probably worst against fastballs. They are. And and they're also bad against changeups. So plays right into Gavin Stone's wheelhouse. He's been pretty good of late, given his last 3 games have been pretty tough. He had to pitch at Coors Field. That was his last outing, and he went 5 innings, struck out 7, 2 earned runs, not bad. Before that, he faced the Yankees and Kansas City, so definitely a spot for him to get really good. Andre Palante, sinker ball pitcher, facing Atlanta. Really solid sinker ball. Nothing special from the young guy. Not striking guys out. Maybe the walks are a little high, but he's just a sinker ball extraordinaire. Maybe this could regress positively, but I just don't see how he scores fantasy points. And Atlanta is a top 5 team versus sinkers. If you want to put any weight behind that, they're going to put the ball in play. Typically, they strike out more, but against a sinker baller, they're probably going to put the ball in play more, and that's going to run into problems for Andre. You're not targeting Atlanta. Get over it. Sean Manaea, still having just a decent career, 9.2 Ks per 9, maybe walking a little too many batters, strand rate not as high as we would want, but just, hanging in there, having a good day. I don't want to play him against the Yankees. And if we look closer at Manaea in June, 6.75 ERA, 1.8 home runs per 9. Now, his xFIP this month is actually 3.33, but his ERA is really high because xFIP's not necessarily going to factor in the home runs. And the home runs are there. You want some Yankee home runs, then we'll talk about that in a second. Simeon Woods Richardson, typical rookie. Going through the typical rookie growth patterns, fastball slider kid. One of the issues, though, you're going to run into is that Arizona ranks 2nd against the fastball. Did you know that? Now, they are 28th against the slider, so if you can get the slider working, that could change the dynamic of this game. I wouldn't completely rule him out, but him mainly being a fastball pitcher against a team that is pretty strong against the fastball, I just don't see how he's going to have a lot of success. He's only getting 7.6 Ks per 9 already. He's just a decent young kid. We'll see what he develops to. 3.29 ERA is probably a little bit more on the fortunate side. Ryan Nelson got some home run problems. Now, it's only showing up as 1.1 home runs per 9 on the season, but he's been giving up a lot more of late, and he doesn't strike batters out. You look at over the last handful of games, really other than the White Sox game, which you're supposed to strike out White Sox, he's not striking anybody out. So he's pitching to contact, mainly a fastball cutter guy. Problem here is, as I mentioned, Arizona's 2nd best against the fastball. Minnesota's number 1. So we've got mainly a fastball pitcher who doesn't miss bats, and he's facing one of the best teams against the fastball. Now, he can generate some ground balls, but with the 5.49 ERA, it doesn't look like he's generating that many fastballs. Tough matchup, Minnesota, where it's at. Mason Black. There was high hopes for Mason Black coming into the season. Started out in the minors, hasn't done anything. Hasn't done anything in the majors. Projected to start in this game. Cubs aren't really that great. And the ballpark is favorable to Mason Black. But there really isn't anything to get excited about. Now, you could say, well, it's pitching in the PCL. Maybe that's hurting his stats. But, boy, doesn't look very good. San Francisco is just calling people up because they have to. And then last, Yariel Rodriguez. Cuba guy. Toronto Did they jump the gun by giving this guy a starting spot and overpaying for him? A very bold move to bring him in. Is he ready or not? Well, they put him in the minors, and he's absolutely mowing people down in the minors. But in Major League, he has not looked as sharp. There's definitely potential here. He can definitely strike batters out. We do know that Boston can strike out. It really is a matter of time. They're just going to need to let I think it was a 27, 28. He spent all that time in Cuba. I think he pitched over in the Nippon League in Japan for a little while. And, let things work out eventually. It might be a little bit too early to jump on. I mean, obviously, the guy's got talent. They wouldn't have given him a big contract, and he can't sit in the minors anymore. There's nothing for him to prove. They just got to bring him up and let him work his magic. And he's had a couple good outings, if I remember correctly, and a couple bad outings. Definitely worth exploring. All right, now looking at our stacks and places where you can possibly attack on the board. Ryan Nelson struggling with both sides of the plate, but really giving up a lot of hard contact to the right-handed bats of Minnesota, possibly. Simeon Woods Richardson, looks like the lefties are a little bit preferable in terms of xFIP, but I don't know if I necessarily am locked in completely. But yeah, I would imagine lefties to be able to hit a fastball pitcher pretty well. Sean Manaea, 2.1 home runs per 9 against lefties, which is weird. But that's always been Manaea's case. Got the reverse splits. So if you can find somebody for the Yankees, go with your lefty bats. Crank one out for the Yanks. Andre Palante struggling with right-handed bats, surprisingly, with 2 home runs and 4.5. How many innings pitched does Palante have? 65 innings pitched, or no, 27. Okay, I thought that seems a little high for a single ball pitcher. We have a 450 WOBA, 2.0 home runs per 9, small sample size, but it's not the smallest of sample sizes. 551 xFIP. Oof. I think I like Atlanta a lot today. Gavin Stone, maybe. I like playing Gavin Stone, so I'm not targeting there. Luis Gill. Interesting. Yeah, looks like it's maybe some left-handed bats against Luis Gill. Just thinking harder about that. Digging deep. And then, I think I'll do it. I'm not rostering St. Louis against Sale. I'm not going to get cute and go with the Giants. I don't even think that's cute. Obviously, you can jam in whatever Dodgers you want. Fetty's been good, so I don't know if they're necessarily a priority, but it is a hitter's ballpark, and it is the Dodgers. Come on now. Now, with Toronto, going after Cutter Crawford, as we mentioned, the home run problems. So Toronto left-handed bats. These numbers are probably a lot worse if we go to his most recent games. And that'll do it. Thanks for joining me. MLB DFS Picks, Wednesday evening, June 26th.